troubleshooting. Because this is the most important step, it's important to be able to problem solve. I'm going to illustrate a couple of common problems, and I want you to see if you can figure out what's going on. What do you see? Well, if you saw them both leave my hand too quickly, then you're right on. Instead of waiting for the first ball to reach its peak, what I'm doing is I'm throwing them almost at the exact same time, one right after the other. That's too fast. If that's your problem, you want to slow it down. Now, here's another problem. See if you can identify what this one is. What did you see? You probably thought they were too slow. It was the exact opposite problem as the first one. If you go too fast, where you don't wait for the ball to reach the peak, or you go too slow, where you wait for the ball almost to hit your hand before you make the second throw, then what you need to do is you need to slow it down or speed it up. And the way you do that is by overcompensating in the other direction. It's easier to make a big change than a small change. So, if you're going too fast, try going too slow. In fact, way too slow. And then what you can do is gradually speed it up. Until it's just right. All right, here's another common problem. Do you see it? Do you recognize it in yourself? A lot of self-taught jugglers, or I should say self-taught non-jugglers, have this problem where they do a pass. Now, if you do this, all you have to do is notice it. And that's the first step in correcting the problem. You might do it in one side or the other. A way to overcome that is by practicing with the other side. So if you start with your right hand and you find your left hand is always doing the pass, try starting with your left hand, and you might be able to get that throw out a little bit easier. Also, slow it down. Don't be worried about the catches. Throw one up, wait for it, and throw the second one up. And then gradually speed it up until you're doing a nice cross in the air as opposed to a circle. Another problem we see a lot. See if you can recognize this one. What's happening? You probably noticed the second throw wasn't going as high as the first throw. That happens a lot of times, and it happens for one of a couple of reasons. One, you're so nervous about that catch that you don't even think about the throw. Or secondly, and this is usually the case, you're throwing with your non-dominant hand, and it's a little bit weaker, and it's hard to get that ball as high as the first one. So here's what I encourage you to do. Count your throws. 1, 2. Except this time when you say 2, really emphasize it with your voice and with your body. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. In fact, again, overcompensate. If your second throw is really, really too low, throw it out of the room. Well, not out of the room, but throw it really high. Then you can bring it down gradually until you have a nice, even throw with good timing. All right, one more. Let me see if you can see this one in profile. Turn this way and, whoa. I know you can see what's happening. I'm throwing a ball forward. And usually what happens is it's a second ball. That's because a lot of times we throw that first one, we get so nervous, and we just chuck the second ball without any focus. Again, we need to concentrate on each step. If you throw forward, probably you're not bending your elbow enough. So keep your elbow by your side and try to pull it back. If you find yourself throwing forward, try throwing it over your shoulder. That'd be good practice. And then when you can catch it over your shoulder, or rather have them land behind your shoulder, then try to make the exchange again. Remember, if you're throwing too far forward, try to throw behind you. If you're throwing too high, try to throw too low. overcompensate in the opposite direction, and it'll be easier to find a middle ground to give you some success.